Minecraft's carved pumpkin has quite possibly the most annoying overlay in gaming. But when you begin to find that overlay annoying, you can just take the pumpkin off your head, which made me think, what if you just couldn't? What if you couldn't take that pumpkin off your head? So, my first attempt to weaponize the pumpkin was on a survival multiplayer server. And I was thwarted by one thing: helmets. If a player is wearing a helmet, then a dispenser cannot automatically put armor on for them. It will not replace the helmet. But with this idea still in my mind, I went to a single-player world to make something even worse. I tinkered away with command blocks until I created the heat-seeking pumpkin. What does it do? Allow me to demonstrate. Alright, let me explain what just happened. The pumpkin can be deployed in any method that would create an item entity, but the two main methods would be throwing the pumpkin by hand and by deploying it automatically by using a dropper. Note that a dispenser will not work to do this. After a short activation timer, the pumpkin locks onto the nearest player. The pumpkin will then follow the player until it's able to bind onto the player's head. When binding onto a player, the pumpkin will drop any worn helmet onto the ground. Here are a few noteworthy interactions. Once airborne, the pumpkin may still be defused if picked up before the activation timer is reached. When carried in the inventory, the pumpkin will activate upon the player's death. An invisible wolf with 30 hearts is used to transport the pumpkin. This means that it is possible to disarm the pumpkin by killing that wolf. Having a pumpkin bound to your head isn't all bad though. You get 5 extra hearts of damage per hit, an extra row of hearts of health, and complete knockback resistance. With the downside of wearing the pumpkin, being unable to take it off, and 30% less movement speed. There are 2 methods to get this pumpkin into your world. The first requires only operator. The second method requires access to the world file and operator. With either of these methods, the commands should be placed in the spawn chunk, as the spawn chunk of the server is always loaded. And you'll also want to change the game rule of command block output to false. Method 1. Copy the commands in the description and paste them into command block chains in order. Method 2. The first thing to do for this method is to head down on the description and go to the media file. From there you can download the structure file. You could do homing_pumpkin, but the other one is homing_pumpkin_ bedrock, that's one word. To get a homing pumpkin, all you need to do is copy the command in the description that says give pumpkin and put it into a command block.